5:30 on Friday, July 25th. Call me in order. Reese,
Present.
Shanwell,
Present.
Goodell,
Present.
Kish,
Present.
Chapman, present. We have quorum. Absent are board members Anderson and Dom. We have not have any minutes to approve at this time, so that'll be on the next agenda. On a new business, here to conduct a public hearing concerning a special use permit for a proposed group home at 2921 Bridle Lane, and also conduct a public hearing concerning special use permit for proposed group home at 3755 Windward Way. Our plan and zoning director is going to first speak about the application. Then we have a representative from the applicant speak, make any comments they would like. Then we'll open up to public comment. Please raise your hand if you want to speak. We'll call you up to speak at this podium. Just introduce yourself, state your name and address clearly. And then if it pertains to a certain property, address, just mention that when you speak. If you are just kind of restating what someone else said, just kind of say that you agree with someone else's comment. Just trying to get as many people the opportunity to speak, since you all are enough to come tonight. So, Dan, if you want to start.
Yep. Okay. So this evening we consider the application for two special use permits by the Marion County Horizon Center for properties located at 2921 Bridle Lane and 3755 Windward Way. Marion County provides and services group homes for intellectual and developmentally disabled individuals by way of community integrated living arrangements, CELAs, which are licensed by the state of Illinois. They currently operate two group homes at these two addresses that house 4 individuals each. They've done so since February of this year. This is permitted by Swansea Code. They now seek to increase the residents to 8 in each home. Under Swansea ordinances as amended in 2024, they are required to obtain a special use permit to do so, which is what is before you this evening. Village Code regulates the parameters that must be considered to determine if a special use permit shall receive a positive recommendation to the Board of Trustees, and that recommendation shall not be made unless in each specific use, the Planning and Zoning Board has found that 1, the establishment, maintenance, or operation of the special use will not be detrimental to or endanger the public's health, safety, morals, comfort, or general welfare. 2, special use will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for the purposes already permitted, nor substantially diminish and impair property values within the neighborhood. 3, the establishment of the special use will not impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of the surrounding property for uses permitted in the district. 4, adequate utilities, access roads, drainage, and or other necessary facilities have been or are being provided. 5, adequate measures have been or will be taken to provide ingress and egress so designated as to minimize traffic congestion in the public streets. And 6, adequate measures have been taken or will be taken to protect any facilities near the proposed special use, such as school or nursing homes, that may require special protection. Additionally, the special use shall, in all other respects, conform to the applicable regulations of the district in which it is located, except as such regulations may, in each instance, be modified by the Board of Trustees to the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Board. Upon receipt of the required application form submitted to the Planning and Zoning Administrator by the applicant, the required public notice was sent no less than 15 days before the said hearing via publication in the newspaper of general circulation within the village. For this purpose, that newspaper was the Belleville News Democrat. During the hearing, as required by code, the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Board shall be accompanied by findings of fact referring to any exhibits containing plans and specifications for the proposed special use, which shall specify the following. 1 is the extent to which the proposed special use departs from the zoning and subdivision regulations of the village. 2 is the conformance or non-conformance of the proposed special use with the standards for issuance listed under section 154.212C of this chapter. 3, the relationship and the compatibility of the proposed special use to adjacent properties and neighborhoods. And 4, the effect of the proposed special use on the development pattern, tax base, and economic well-being of the village. Additionally, special conditions, if any, shall be contained within the recommendation, but clearly set forth in a conclusion or statement separate from the Planning and Zoning Board's findings. And recommending that a special use permit be granted, the Planning and Zoning Board shall stipulate if the permit is transferable to successive owners of the property in question, or if the permit is not transferable to any other person or property. Given the status of the applicant and its residents, we must also consider the applicability and implications of the Federal Housing Act, Americans with Disability Act, 1973 with the advice of counsel. My review of the application indicates that that all requirements of the special use permit submittal process or accompanying information meets the requirements of code. Staff recommends approval of both special use permits.
Okay, thanks. Is there a representative of the applicant here that'd like to say anything?
Yeah,
Sure.
That's a little informal if that's okay.
Perfect.
So I think that, when I first started, when I got into the industry, they were called 16.
Who are you?
I'm David Humphries
Thanks.
with Marion County Horizon Center.
Okay.
So I'm the executive director for Marion County Horizon Center. So when I started, most of the homes that we were working with were 16 people that were shared living arrangements. And things have changed. They've come a long way. Actually, a specialized living center was a variation of the 16 beds. It was an intermediate care facility here in, I believe it was Swansea. We were there when it closed, and a lot of those individuals were able to go to different CILAs and other ICF care level in St. Clair County. When that transpired, it was really quickly, and there weren't a lot of options for all of those individuals to stay within St. Clair County. So when that happened, my goal was like, okay, there's a need here in our local community to try and serve individuals with intellectual disabilities. It takes a while to get those off the ground, but we started to develop around this area, trying to find good communities for individuals to live. When I started, most of the towns or communities would kind of had significant control. So in the 70s and 80s, they would put individuals with intellectual disabilities at like the side of the town that they didn't want people to be there. And that's kind of where things have changed a lot. Fair housing has really been emphasized, Americans with Disabilities Act. And the goal is to get them into good neighborhoods, like good opportunities, and for the individuals themselves to be good neighbors. Our hope is that I think we've been here a year for Windward anyways. I think we started in April or May. It was a real fast move. I had 4 individuals that were closing from the Industry Save workshop here in St. Clair County. They were about to be homeless. So that's why we pushed it through with just the 4, is because at that time, 4, we didn't have to go through the special use permit. And I wanted to show like, hey, we aren't going to be bad neighbors. We had a rocky start. We had a contractor that was, we thought, doing stuff and didn't go get permits. So we kind of started off with a shaky start, to be totally honest, in Swansea. And I didn't want that to be the thing that, reflected on the individual. So we spent the last year trying to show, hey, that's not who we are. We're not contractors. We serve adults with intellectual disabilities, but we do our best. And we've tried to stay under the radar since then to show we are just regular people. And our hope is to make it as least conflict as possible, so the individuals don't, feel the ramifications of the nervousness that we're something new and something different. In some ways it's scary because group homes is like a large name, but it's just folks who went to special education and want to stay in St. Clair County. I think that's the easiest way to describe what it is we do. And every group home's a little different, every CILA. It's really shaped off the individuals that live there. The individuals that both Windward and Bridal, they're young to middle-aged men. You probably see them outside, us going out to do something, but they're really nice people. Invite them over, come talk to them. They're just good. They try and be good neighbors themselves. So I kind of leave it up into questions, because I feel like a lot of the concern is, what is this? What are we doing? Who are these people? And I feel like that's a fair thing, is we're an unknown. And I think that for the answer side of it, if it's okay, I would happily respond to questions that people may have if it's okay with the zoning and however you structure it.
Yeah, we'll open up, after you're done speaking, we'll open up to public comment, and then they'll kind of all individually have questions at the end. Then you can respond kind of as a group. So instead of just going back and forth, so just wait till the end. You can address your comments kind of back to us though. So
You just direct me. I'm informal. You tell me which way to face. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, thank you. Okay, so now this is open up to public comment. So during this time will be pretty much your only chance to speak tonight. So make sure that if you want to speak or say something at this time, because once public comment's closed, then that's kind of the end of it. So if you want to raise your hand, then I'll call on you. We have the first person. If you just want to stand up there, state your name, address if you like, and then.
I appreciate it for the zoning board for this opportunity to address you. My name is Vince Lobino, and my wife Connie is here with me. We're residents of Polo Run. I would like to have you look at a couple of things that I think you've received already. First of all, there's a letter of Joe Strauss, who wrote a letter summing up the history of this with the residents of Polo Run and the group home. The previous speaker indicated that this is a new thing and maybe people are afraid of it, or, well, it's a fact. I mean, it's a fact. We've been dealing with it for a year, so it's nothing new. What's new is the fact that there was an agreement. We went through this process. The village revised their ordinances, spent a lot of time, a lot of work to get up to speed on this, which needed to be done. And so this isn't anything new. What's new here is that you want to double the occupancy of this. In Mr. Strauss's letter that has been, he's a contiguous to the home, as in a number of other residents of Polo Run have signed that letter, who are also right near the group home. And there have been some problems. I haven't witnessed them. I live at the top of the neighborhood, but others have. And please review that before you make your decision, before you make your recommendations to the Board of Trustees. There's also a letter from retired Judge Julie Katz, also a resident of Polo Run, who, by the way, handled many of these types of cases before she retired as a judge. She was the judge that dealt with administrative appeals, did many of these kinds of things. So please, again, would you review that? Many other people from Polo Run are here. Julie Sharp, the head of the HOA, other members of the Homeowners Association Board of Trustees, and other members. I'm not going to go over all the factors. Dan did a couple of, he read all of those, all of the things that are in your ordinance, but I want to point out a couple of things. First of all, the special use will not be detrimental to the public health, safety, morals, or general welfare. And I'm just speaking for myself personally. I think that will be detrimental in doubling the number of residents at the group home. And once again, look to the letters that have been sent to this board. The special use will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate area for purposes already permitted, nor substantially diminish and impair property values within the neighborhood. Once again, based upon the documents, we believe that you cannot, that it would be injurious to the residents of Polo Court. You have to find those standards and you have to make written recommendations to the boards, which you know. What strikes me, and I don't have a long time here, I'm not going to go on and on, but what strikes me here is that we went through this a year ago. And you struck a balance. That's what we're doing here tonight, is we're striking a balance between the rights of the disabled individuals in group homes and the other residents in Polo Court. We struck a balance under a year ago, and now all of a sudden we're back at square one. There is no reason to upset that balance and force this drastic change on the residents of Polo Run. We are adamant that and would ask that this board deny the special use permit. Thank you.
Okay. Next, if you want to, you can stand up there if you want, or you also can go to the podium.
My voice doesn't.
Okay.
My name is Karen Beeler. My background is special education. My doctorate is in special education in the educational setting. So I'm very well acquainted with individuals that have disabilities of different types. I know when we're talking developmental disabilities, there are a wide range of individuals that qualify for that. I would be most interested in knowing what is the criteria for and characteristics of individuals who will be included in this particular setting when there are 8 people now. I didn't even know that they were here, so I don't know what they are for, but what is the criteria? How are these, is it determined that these people are appropriate? My second question is, what kind of supports and supervision will be afforded to these individuals who are living in this setting to make sure and ensure that it's a positive thing for both the individuals and the people in the neighborhood? And I know that talk can sometimes sound good. How will we ensure that those supports are provided to those people? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. You wanna?
My name is Julie Kemper. I live at 8 Bear Court. Kind of a follow-up to what you just said. My question is, if there's 8 people living in this house plus caregivers,
The caregivers don't live there, sorry.
We'll address them all.
Oh, so- I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's fine. Just we'll keep, yeah.
these people are living in a home with no caregivers?
They're not residents. They'll come and go. I assume, but if you doesn't make your comments, we'll address those later.
Like nobody spends the night?
If you doesn't make your comments, then we can address those at the end. So what is your question though?
My question is, it was the follow-up to what this lady said, are these people in this home without caregivers on staff all the time?
Okay.
Someone there 24/7.
We'll talk, yeah.
I find that troubling if they're not even much for the residents of your neighborhood, for the residents themselves.
Okay, in the back?
I'm Joseph Strauss. I wrote the letter along with the neighbors. I'm at 2914 Polo Court. One of the houses is catty corner to the group home that's existing in Polo Run. Myself and the other neighbors, co-signed that letter. Want to be sure everyone on the board got a copy of it ahead of time.
Yes, it's in the file. We all have had a chance to read it.
Okay,
Thank
great. I agree with everything my neighbor, Mr. Lopino, said. And I also want to, I'm not going to repeat the points he made, but I also want to point out that it's not just 4 additional disabled residents that are coming into the neighborhood. It's also going to be the staff. And I think a lot of the issues that we're having revolve around the staff because that's not something that a residential zone neighborhood is used to having. So, sir, I know you said you wanted to be a good neighbor before here, but as my letter underscores, you really haven't been the best neighbor. To increase that, I think would be putting the village and the community in a pretty dangerous position to be in when they've been there less than a year and they've already had more complaints than any other home in our community. So I also strongly encourage the board to deny the special use permit. Thanks.
Okay. In front?
Do I need to go over there?
You don't have to, just want to speak clearly, not your
My
name.
name is Madeline Coleman. I live in Belleville, Illinois. I am a case manager for 5 of the individual, I think, that live in, I think 1 in one home and then 4 in the other home. I was actually the person who placed them in those homes. I can't get into too much of their disabilities due to HIPAA laws, but these individuals are appropriate to live in the community. These individuals deserve the right to live in the community as a fellow American. And just because they have a disability and require 24-hour staffing DSPs to help them live independently in the community, just like everyone else, should not disqualify them from living in a specific neighborhood because certain people don't want certain problems. I live in Belleville myself, and there's literally a Scylla. My house is here. There's a Scylla right across the street. When I tell you that was the happiest day of my life when a Scylla moved into my neighborhood, I was beyond happy. Those our individuals that we serve, like, they all deserve a chance to live in the community. They don't deserve to be hated on. They don't deserve to be criticized or ridiculed or denied access to basic human rights. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Ben?
Can't people state their names?
Yeah, they were. I think,
Oh, yeah, they're there.
sorry.
All right, if you're getting at this.
My name is Julie Sharp and I live in 2925, so I am directly adjacent, living right next door to the home. While ordinarily I don't have any issues with the people that live in that home, I do not discriminate against the people that live in that home, as you suggested, nor does anyone in this neighborhood, because many people have gone to the trouble and tried to talk to the people. We all say hello when they walk by. I think that was a rather insensitive thing to say on behalf of the residents of my neighborhood, Bull Run. But I will also address, as the HOA president, I have had complaints. And I noticed something even this morning. Now, I will tell you, when I asked Corey, I love him, he's a good guy. When I called him and I said, there are people running stop signs on a regular basis. We had so many complaints that people wrote down the license plate numbers. I called him, I told him we had a problem, but I also admitted that they're not the only ones. But we have a lot of young children in our neighborhood that have had the benefit of walking around and playing and feeling free to do what they want to do. We've had one child who has been approached by one of the residents and scared, such that he didn't want to come out of his house because of what some resident did to him. That's not okay. These are children. And while I understand that everybody's got a right to live freely, I'm all for that. I agree. But then maybe what we need to do is address how do we come together so that the people in the neighborhood feel safe and feel like they don't need to worry, but at the same time give the people that are living there the opportunity to achieve their objective, which is to be more independent while still being supervised. So at the very least, I know that the HOA has reached out to Marion County Horizon Center. We asked them a variety of questions. We've asked to meet them. We wanted to know a little bit more about the disability so that we had a better understanding so that we can get along well with one another. And that's really mostly what I say, but I will tell you this, last thing I was saying. I was out in my yard this morning, honest to God, I've heard this complaint before and I've seen it myself. Somebody came down, turned from Bridle Lane, and I swear to God, I could hear the bass and the music from down at the corner. They need to be good neighbors and respectful of the noise category. I mean, I shouldn't have to hear bass up so high that it's making me feel like it's going through me when I'm out in my own front yard. Be respectful. We ask that of everyone that lives in Polo Run. And I think that these people should just be asked to do the same thing. And that's all I really have to say.
Thank you. Next person. Okay, so we're gonna, after this session, the applicant has a chance, if they choose to respond to some of the comments. But it will not be open up to public again. So if you don't have anything, I see one hand, so.
I just had a thought. My name is Ron Grimm. I live over in Swansea, over in Lake Lorraine, and I have a question specifically for the gentleman. You permitted with 4 and you slid them through. Is this a standard that you use to get into the neighborhoods? How many other permits are like that you have 4 people that you're sliding them into different neighborhoods and you expand them like in meetings like this? So tell me how many other permits you have active where you have 4 individuals in them so that you did not have to go through the permitting process. And now, how many are you expanding to 8 around this area, just in the county, not just Swansea, but in the general area?
Okay, we'll address,
Thank you.
in the front,
Yeah, I think.
if you would state your name and,
Tyra Brockman Cherry. I'm actually in Willow Walk, which is the other subdivision. The concern is why are we increasing to 8? Because we wasn't even notified that it was going to be for a group home. We figured it out after the fact. But we're trying to figure out why is it increasing to 8? have not had any issues. Thus far, hopefully it stays that way, but we were concerned with the number. So,
Thank you.
Just one other question to follow.
Sure.
Somebody alluded that there had been some issues with the home. What type of issues? Have the policemen called? I mean, what are these issues that have arisen?
Okay.
Screaming. Screaming. Talking in the front yard, yelling and talking loud and,
I believe the police have been called too.
yeah.
That's what my question, what have the policemen called for? That's what I want to know. What was the activity that the police were called for?
Okay.
Who knows?
Anybody know
I
that?
don't know that.
Really so. Were the police been contacted?
I asked both the fire department and the police department about calls at both properties going back to January. There was nothing on the police department for both the properties. Fire department had nothing on Bridal. They did have 9 calls from that day to Windward. 2 was from the steam of the shower, and 7 were from cooking, smoke and whatnot, setting off smoke alarms. So those are the records I have from the 2 departments.
There was a police patrol run last weekend. And I went to the Swansea police and asked for a copy of the police report, and I didn't get it.
I just called them a couple days ago. I called the fire department this morning and the police department yesterday or the day before to ask. So that's what I was
They
told.
were there,
Okay.
but I didn't get a copy of the report.
Maybe to see if there's something else in that subdivision or something, so maybe we'll just follow up on that.
I had,
No,
Yeah,
well,
we can't
no,
look
they
into it. I had-
gave the address, the gal looked.
I had specifically asked them for the 2921 address and the other addresses of, sir, I forgot your name, but the letter you had sent in with all the residents' signature, the different addresses. So I asked the police about 2921 and every other address on that letter. And they did not give me anything from January.
Just to help your search, the day I walked this letter around to get signatures, July 19th, I personally saw Swansea police talking to staff and residents at 29.
Well, they may not have generated a report.
Okay.
I saw the car there as well.
Okay.
that's a question.
That was the 9th, you said?
That was July 19th.
19th, okay.
Last Saturday morning.
Go ahead, him, real fast first.
Okay, my name is Timothy Hassel. I live directly behind the house. I'm at 2918 Clover Court. I did call the police yesterday on the house for a disturbance of the peace. They were slamming trash can bins or something. I wasn't home. My wife was though, so I took care of that. We couldn't take my dog out because she was so frightened by the loud noises and everything like that. So this was yesterday.
What was your name, sir?
Timothy Hassel.
In the back,
Question. So originally they put 4 residents in the home, now they want 8. Are they gonna ask for an additional increase and all of a sudden 10 or 12? And also, do any of these individuals have criminal records or background checks done? What type of, I understand they need a place to live, I do, but I'd like to know what their background is.
Okay.
And if that's a problem as far as, children incidents or criminal cases against them.
got it, okay.
Charlene Yates, they can't go above 8, it's a state requirement, no more than 8 allowed anymore. However, let's say you have a family of 5 living there, and they're not developmentally disabled, and then the mother gets pregnant with triplets and brings 3 more children in. What's your concern there?
Well, I understand that, these are single-family residences that are zoned for that, and they're under everybody's nose trying to put group homes in our neighborhoods. They do it very slyly. They didn't know you were getting one, and we didn't know we were getting our one. If they're so, that these are wonderful homes and good for everyone, why aren't they being more honest and upfront about it when they're trying to put the homes in the neighborhoods?
But are we requesting for families that are moving in to announce that they're moving in?
Yes, we do.
Well,
I can't see or how, why.
We
you
have
do
an
it.
HOA, they have to approve even our housing. When we built our house, they asked, we added windows to it. I mean, we have certain regulations and rules that have to be followed. And we are a single family that moved in, not a group home that's deemed for that.
But a family of 4, which with the individuals would probably consider themselves brothers or sisters, they consider themselves family.
They do.
okay. Just, we're trying to keep the interaction between people.
Sorry.
That's fine, but just, I didn't mention that before, so just kind of address it to us and we'll take everything else.
Final thought from me, the HOAs, especially ours, restrict multi-families, multi-individuals from purchasing homes within our community. So you as Marion, do you come in, does the realtor look at those HOA bylaws and covenants to restrict that type of activity, that type of purchase within the neighborhood? So Polo Run, did they do that at Polo Run? Did you have that restriction or covenant in yours?
Okay.
So then my question is how did that get through the St. Clair County? When you have clear restrictions and HOAs, which, need to be adhered to. So.
Okay, wait a minute.
Carl Beeler, 604 Lehigh. We live near Wolf Branch School. We don't live in either one of these two areas at this time. The comment about residents driving really struck my mind. I understand FERPA laws and requirements, but it would seem to me that if someone is individual can qualify for a driver's license, they are fairly high functioning, it seems to be anyway. So I'm wondering about the qualifications again, about how individuals are designated for this type of living. And I'm also wondering about any brushes with the criminal justice system. Is that a disqualifier if an individual did have a brush with law enforcement, whether it is a disabled person or not? And just a question for you, not to be answered out loud here necessarily, but do any of your current residents ride a Segway, a little two-wheel deal you ride on? Just out of curiosity, if anybody owns one of those in either one of those two homes.
Well, okay. Okay. Randy?
Is there
Say your name.
Randy, let's go ahead. Was there any modifications done to the structure to accommodate and if there was it approved from there?
Okay.
I can kind of answer that.
Well, we'll address those. We'll have, yeah. So was your comment or do you have another comment?
No, it's just I
Okay.
already know the answer.
Okay. Okay. So any other public comment? Okay, at this time, public comment is closed. We'll have the applicant respond to as many as you choose to. It's up to you. Okay.
I missed one, it's not intentional. That was me trying to take notes.
Okay.
So,
And just try to address up
yes.
just the board so we can hear what you say.
Is it all right if Corey does it with me in case I missed any? Is that appropriate?
If he introduces himself and kind of states his role, I guess, or,
I'm
yeah,
Corey, I'm with Marion County Horizon Center, I'm one of the administrators.
thank you.
All right, and so I'll start with some of the complaints. One of the complaints I think was the driving incident with the staff, and I think, Corey, okay.
We're trying to.
Sorry.
No problem. I know, we appreciate it.
Yes, but as those, as things were brought up, I understand not necessarily concerned about people living there, that one I can't really fix, but the part about the driving part, we have talked to them about that, now that we know about the music, I think that's totally valid. If that's happening, we need to address that. This is the first time we've heard that I've heard that, but those types of concerns, like that's it's hard not to look you guys to talking about.
It's fine, if it's natural.
I'm kind of like diagonal, it's like, as those come up, that is totally valid for us to address. Like, so I don't want to belittle that. If we're being bad neighbors, tell us, just talk to us. The trash can incident, tell us, let us know that. If we're being a bad neighbor in that regard, let our staff know and we will address it. As far as the residents sometimes talking loud, I live out in the country and I can talk real loud on my phone, and I'm sorry if they get a little loud. They're not violent. They just sometimes can talk loud. I don't know, like I talk loud. I'm talking loud right now and I know it. But those, as far as dangerous to children, the people that are going to be at that home are not going to be dangerous to children. The criminal question, can someone have a felony and be in a group home? Yes. But part of that is we're meeting these individuals before they move in. Just like I have a neighbor in the country, my mom's neighbor, she lives in a subdivision in Salem, and there are a few individuals with felonies in that neighborhood, and it's, $400,000 homes, which for our little town is an expensive home, but it's one of those things that That can happen, but on our side, we're trying to find individuals that will fit well, that are local, that would do well with the other individuals living there. Let's see, staffing. So one of the questions that was asked was staffing. So we do shift staff, kind of like if you have someone that needs home health in your neighborhood, coming to take care of them. We do the same thing. We have shift staff at the house. We typically run 8-hour splits, sometimes 12 on the weekends. So they don't live there. The staff don't. They're awake. They're engaging with the individuals. It's typically 1 to 2 staff. The needs of our individuals, that's an appropriate at these 2 hours.
24/7?
Yes. Yes. Now, if there's not someone there, some of our individuals can have the ability to stay home alone for short periods based on the supervision capacity. We have to work with people like Madeline. So Madeline is not with our agency. She is actually an advocacy group that places people in our agency. So together, we would jointly develop like a supervision schedule based on each individual's needs. Some people need like very intense supervision. Some people don't. They're just maybe need help in the shower, but they can totally play ball outside by themselves, be home alone by themselves. Now, most of these individuals we're going to have someone there, but they do have those abilities. You know, it really is individualized by the individual. Let's see. As far as why it was 4 and then went to 8, I'll tell you in the last 5 years, we're all over the state and I haven't had to go through a special use permit in any other community, if I'm being totally honest. And that's how we messed up initially is most of the other communities, it's just kind of, you're okay, it's fair, you know, it's just allowed, I guess. And even in larger communities, group homes have been around, or villas have been around for a while. And most of these have been tried through other communities. So where we messed up initially, I'd send an email and we'd send it, I think it was Joe, maybe 2 years ago. I think it just went to, I think you just didn't look at it, we missed it, it was okay, it was just a human error, but that started a chain effect that came further along. Our whole intention was not necessarily to do 8. I don't know if we're gonna do 8, but it's to get it set up that we can do what we initially planned. When we started, we were serving 4 individuals from SAVE, and the place is closing. So we were under a gun to get this done. And so when we worked with John, it's like, hey, if it's just 4, you can just move forward. And at that point, we didn't have another option. We'd already committed to serve these 4 individuals. We'd started months in advance, and it's like, okay, like we're gonna put our plans aside for a year because we've made commitments to these individuals to get this done. So that, it saves a workshop here in St. Clair County for development disabled. Let's see what else we got.
Dave, you and Madeline do SOA. Explain what that is.
Yeah, it's community integrated living arrangement. So we're licensed through the Department of Human Services. We're funded through a combination of Medicaid and individual Social Security. So it's a 50-50 match, the state and the feds. So individuals with intellectual disabilities, there are different criteria. You have to have different deficits. That's Madeline's job, out of my scope, but basically it's someone who's in a special education program that has deficits, that needs supports. They need assistance living within their community. They want to continue to live in their community. There are varying levels of support, so there's high needs levels of support, and then there's maybe lesser needs of support, but sometimes just emotional needs. So some individuals with autism, we have an individual that works at the pizzeria locally, and he does a really good job, makes a darn good pizza. But he has some other things he's working on that, you know, we're working with him on at the house. Let's see if I'm missing anything here. I know I am. So Windward, so the fire alarm's going off, which is a huge, it has to do with the monitoring. In our other areas, we don't monitor because they are so sensitive. So they trigger and they call the fire department. So we did that because that was part of the requirements locally, but that's one of the reasons we don't do it is in most of our other areas is because it's a real nuisance to the neighbors. So we just do the fire alarm system where it would go off internally but wouldn't connect directly to the fire department. Because they got a lot of false triggers. It's a great thing to have. We don't, you know, protects against fire, but it unfortunately can be a bit of an annoyance. So and that's part of it. If Swansea wanted us to go to non, you know, where it doesn't directly call the fire department, our fire marshal's fine with that. That's totally good. We did that for the city, and we would remove that because I hope that that's the only issue that they've had at Windward. We really have tried to be good neighbors, and I'm glad to hear that we haven't had many things over in that subdivision. And I apologize about the scary thing about the change, you know, and we may not actually survey. One of the problems is to get services as well. you have to go through what's a PUNS list. So our prioritization of urgency, needs, and services, it's state waiting list. But some people, like most people that get services, it's mom or, not all of them, but some of them are mom or dad's passed away and we need services now. So like that's kind of where Windward is the one we're really working on right now. I have 2 individuals who are locally. One of them we're paying to live somewhere else because we can't get it for this process. And so we're providing like services to this person's house that there's no caregiver there anymore, but you can't move in because we have to go through here, which is why I'm here tonight, is because I have to get this done because we've already promised this guy needs services. And so like, even though both of these applications are here, really Windward is the one that I want to get them both done just in case we don't run into the same situation, but Windward is the one that we're trying to get this person services. It's what's comes first, the chicken or the egg. When someone goes into crisis in St. Clair County, to get the funding for the service, you have to have it already ready. So it's like, you're building the infrastructure so it's there if someone needs it. If someone from Swansea needs it, you know, that we're already there. Again, the police call last week. I apologize. If we were being allowed, tell us. That is totally appropriate for you to call us and tell us, and like, we will address that. That is, tell us. Yeah, it's like, we will do that, and that is not a problem. Let's see. As far as children go, sometimes our guys like to hang, you know, if they're like playing basketball in the yard and they talk, they're not dangerous, they just want to play and hang, and I don't know, when I was growing up and I was a little older, I might shoot hoops with the neighborhood kid who was 8 or 9 years older because he was outside. I don't know. But if that is an issue, tell us. Like, if you're worried, just come talk to us. And like, we don't mind talking to the individual. If it makes you uncomfortable as a parent, that is totally your right as a parent. Tell us. Like, that's okay. There's an age gap there, and that's totally something that we could address. If I missed anything that someone brought up, it was not intentional.
I think one was Randy's comment was about the improvements to the property, if they were been permitted or.
Yeah, so we made a royal mistake initially. So we initially were hired a contractor out of St. Louis, I believe it was. Yeah, and he was a nice guy, but did not get permits initially, and that's what got us into a whole hot mess, if I'm being honest. Since then, everything's going above board. We've run all our contracts. We went to a different contractor after that, just to be clear, and we have really tried to like show that is not who we normally are. I'm an hour and a half away, and we trust our contractor, which is on us. That's a mistake. I'm not a carpenter. I'm not a general contractor. I'm a service provider for adults with intellectual disabilities. And we totally screwed that up, and I'll be the first one to admit that. So we made sure the next one, we bothered him like, hey, did you do this? I'm like, please make sure that you do this.
Okay. I just have a couple follow-up things. So, you know, there's been some issues from people driving, running stop signs or something. Those have been employees or residents?
Yeah, just employees. So, and so the question, there was another question too about the 2-wheel device. We would use those in other areas. This particular house, the individuals don't need them. They're very ambulatory, like play sports. And, no, that was staff, and Corey addressed it. And to my knowledge, that was our only complaint that Corey's, yeah. And we did address that. It was substantive. That was an appropriate call to us that we needed to address, and absolutely so.
Corey, do you have anything to add?
I've only received one phone call of a complaint from Julie, and it was a red Kia running the stop sign. She said possibly a black Chevy also, but they couldn't pinpoint if the black Chevy was from the Cilla or not. We addressed it with the staff. I told Julie if she had any other issues or if it continued to happen, please let me know. I've not gotten any other complaints.
I'll tell you what we normally tell the staff to is once you get out of the subdivision, the neighborhood, you're your own person, do whatever you do. Once you get out of where it is, you're your own person. But when you're in the subdivision, what you do coming into work and leaving work reflects negatively on the residents. And that's what we don't want. So we do tell our staff that that's like when you're coming, even though you're off the clock for that 2 minutes, just turn the music down, wait 2 minutes. Once you get on the highway, do whatever you want. You're your own person, Pat, But while you're there, you're still a representation of those individuals that live there and their and their connections with the neighborhood. So we also agree if that's happening, we will address it if that's a problem. If it is, we will be obviously, yes.
Okay.
I also wanted to add, there was a Pillar Run HOA meeting back in February or March of this year. I went to that meeting. I left about 50 business cards on the table, and I left with 0. And gave those out to the residents and told them if they had any complaints, they could call me directly anytime, day or night. And again, the only call I've gotten was from Julie.
Okay. Okay. Well, thanks for your comments. Does the board have any questions?
My only question was, does every resident have his own car?
No, actually, so for whatever statistic it is, we all serve different niches. And I would say one of the niches that we serve is younger, independent men. And in my program of 415 individuals, I think we have 2 with cars, not in this area, like they're not in this area. So it's the percentage is 0.5%. I think that's 0.5%. Very, very small. We don't envision that happening here. That would not, when we're doing placement, they would not fit with the other individuals. That's like a much more independent level probably than that group of men, I think.
Okay.
So, not that I can't legally restrict them from getting, yeah.
Do any of the current residents drive?
No.
So any problems with vehicles has been your staff?
Yes. It would just be the coming in and the music. We just learned about tonight, but we will address that. But that would be it. But we do require all of our, what's the driver thing that they have to get for insurance? Safety.
The safety reports.
They have to safety driver reports. They have to have a valid driver's license. To be on our insurance, they also have to be 21 years or older for driving. So there are some things in place too to yeah.
Okay.
And that's for the staff.
Yeah. Not the residents, sorry.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So if they don't drive, how do they get around?
We do. So each of our houses, we're like a fleet of minivans at times. So we have a minivan at the house that is kind of like the house vehicle. So they'll go out to the movies. If there's a festival or anything happening in St. Clair County, our guys are probably doing it. So movies, they do go, the one piece of traffic we talked about is they do use mass transit to go to a work program during the day, some of them. So they do like a sheltered work program. So locally it's Community Link, Challenge Unlimited, Save. So where they'll do piecemeal work, they'll do activities, but it's just a mass transit vehicle. So reduce traffic.
If it goes from 4 to 8, which is doubling your residents, will you also then consider doubling the on-site supervision every day, 24/7?
So the piece of it that would probably potentially change is the evening staff and the morning staff. So we might do 1 to 2 people. Sometimes we already have 2 people just because there might be somebody wanting to go to the movies and somebody else wanting to stay home and the supervision capacity couldn't work. So we accommodate the person that wants to go to the movies and we would send somebody to keep somebody else back. But really that would be the piece. The third shift, there's only 1 person. It is the easiest job in Swansea. You're there.
Are you saying it will change a little or it won't change?
Minimally. It minimally could during waking hours. It could potentially a 1/2 to 1 person during waking hours.
Okay, thank you.
Question for you. I was sitting here 2 years ago when you guys did the initial for my subdivision. There's another home came in and there's been 0 problems with that home in my subdivision, except the cars. And salute the folks that wrote the letters. Nice to see stuff in writing and it's not emotional, here's facts. But it's funny, I went by the house today and watched a young man run that stop sign who had just circled and talked to a young lady across the street from the house. So that's kind of a hard point to get your arms around. Loud music, a hard point to get your arms around. But I am empathetic to people being scared. And there was an incident. If there's multiple incidents, how do you manage that? What happens to the person that causes multiple incidents and it's problematic?
So to clarify, and the driving issue.
It's a moot point.
Yeah, but the incident, so what incident, just so I'm aware of?
The young child that was talked to on the yard.
When did this happen?
Right, we're hearing it. We're hearing it now. It's totally a valid thing to come talk to us.
Get a copy of the letter.
But we've never gotten. We didn't get anything.
I think it's fair to give them a copy of it.
I don't think so.
Sorry, what?
Go ahead.
Letter from the subdivision.
I got it.
So I think said it was anecdotal, 14
Yeah, it was.
year old or
3rd page. Bottom of page 2.
I've highlighted the stuff that I thought was interesting, so it'll be one of the highlights.
Very bottom of page 2.
Specifically to Jane on the zoning board, has this company provided the board their business model? of how they come into a community, what they do, how they buy, and do they honor the HOA's bylaws and those types of things where they have restrictions of single family only allowed, those types of things, so that where this has happened, maybe these communities didn't have that built into their HOA, or if they did they not honor them? So a couple different parts, but do you guys have their business plan, know how they function, why they're coming into the community?
Well, I would say the most of them that we've gone through, I don't know if it's true or not, but, yeah, they've spelled out what they planned on doing. And, they wanted to be very cooperative of your affair or your concerns. But, so far,
So, yeah, so,
We can let,
and I don't live in Polo Run, but if they had restrictions in their HOA of multifamily buying a home, how did this get through?
okay,
I'm just asking that because I'm a business guy and that's how I think.
we'll cover that, okay.
Can
I actually, public comment's actually over with, I'm sorry. So,
Well, I kind of feel like it's important because we're talking about the HOA and I'm the HOA president for Polo Run. Nobody took our HOA rules restrictions into account with this whole one. It was all being done under the radar. We didn't get to know anything. We didn't know that the garage door behind it had 2 bedrooms put in. When we have a restriction that says you have to have a working garage, it was ignored, completely ignored. Now, as an HOA, we decided to be good neighbors and grant them an exception that states as long as you live there and it's a CLO, we'll go along with it. But the day that house goes on the market, it becomes single family, it has to be moved back to a regular single family home. So yes and no is the answer. We weren't taken into consideration at all.
okay.
And that's the concern.
Do you want to address that or?
Yeah, and I'll be the first to admit that was a mistake. Again, we used a contractor and they said, yeah, that was a mistake and we have not made any since then to my knowledge. But God help me, it was the biggest lesson I learned in my career, if I'm being totally honest. This is me being humble that we messed up there. And that part of it, we have been very careful. The contractor that came in, we drove an hour and a half from my Salem, my normal contractor drove in here to do any additional work that needed to be done in the metro after that affair. So we relied too much on a contractor, which is again, a learning mistake on my part, and I can't undo that, but it was a mistake. And I will admit that mistake and it will not happen again. And that's a piece of it that I can convey. And my God, we're trying very hard, I swear.
Okay, thank you. Any other?
But that question is still open. If there's a repeat offender, do you have the ability to remove that person from the facility, relocate?
Yeah, so the discharge, there's a discharge process for and this, I would love to have, this is something that totally, come talk to us if this has happened. Like, this is the first time that we are seeing this. And if this is my son or daughter, I would totally go talk to the parent or whoever, the staff, totally appropriate. But we don't have anything on this, which is concerning for both sides on this. That this is the first time we would address that. If someone comes and talks to us, we will address that. But the first time that we're hearing about it is here. And that's not, we will address it, but we just have to know that it's happened. But to your question, can you get rid of someone that you can? There is a discharge process. It is very challenging. I'm totally honest, it is hard to get rid of someone, but there is a discharge process.
It's federal and state protection.
Dude, yes,
We know what you're going through.
Yes.
So can you address my question? The one involved in the purchasing of these residents?
Yeah.
And do you go to the courthouse, look at the bylaws that have been submitted to the court or to the deeds office? And do you look at them and it says no multi-use of individuals in a house? Do you honor that or do you go ahead and purchase it like you did in Polo Run? It's a yes or no question.
So, yeah, so the single family portion of it, I from our research and when I started 13 years ago,
Yes or no question. Did you look at it at the courthouse and come to an understanding that there was an HOA with a restriction that you put blinders on? Or you said, whatever you said to yourself in your management, I want to have an answer.
I think he claimed ignorance, I guess, is kind of what you're saying, but
Just like it was part of the purchase group, so he didn't.
Can I give the full
back?
We can, but I just want you to understand that public comment's over, okay?
Can I ask a
So
question?
you can't- no more outbursts,
No, but
okay?
my original question was about the HOA that he did not answer from my original public.
Okay,
Most of my homes that we do, most of them we do are in single-family areas. And that's kind of by design and what the state of Illinois encourages us to put them in residential neighborhoods. That's what our licensing body is telling us to do. And I think it's the best course of action. You want to live a normal life, you put yourself into that normal situation, which is a residential neighborhood. It's unfortunate, we do have to have staff and things to help them support them, but otherwise that's probably their only access to these neighborhoods. So the question is, do the multifamily versus single family, most of the villas within the state most of them are single family areas.
And I single family area, but multi-unit ownership or living quarters within it, which are a lot have a restriction. There are a lot of restrictions in these communities. My question again is, did you review, did you see at the courthouse prior to whoever your realtor is, and did they look at an HOA or a bylaw that is on record at the courthouse that says you can't have 15 individuals, 4 individuals, you have to have a single family living in a home? Did you look at that and send to the county court before you bought any of these homes? And I don't know how many homes you have.
Right. And I would say no that I didn't.
Okay, so then why did your management not do it? That's all our concern. That's all our concern is.
So I sat through a 4-hour lecture from Thomas Kennedy. I don't know if he's still alive or not, but he was like a fair housing attorney when I first started. And he basically said we'll run into this as part of it. And from our understanding that is a piece of fair housing, that why we didn't look at it was that is something that was described to us as not legal with the Department of Justice. So even though it was written in, it's like laws in the books about, they say some crazy stuff in like other states about things that aren't actually enforceable anymore. So that was my understanding. I'm not an attorney, but that was what was described to us, to answer your question honestly.
okay. I think you've addressed the point now. Any other question, or the attorney, you'd like to have a comment on that about HOA organizations and what they do?
Yeah, they're seeking to have several people, more people than are allowed under the ordinance, is subject to the special use permit process. It's subject to the HOA, and it's subject to federal law. And part of what he said is correct, is that if the HOA wanted to go in and enforce this thing, then they would have to comply with the Federal Housing Act, which is a whole nother issue, which is an overlay in all of this as to whether or not you can deny it. And so really the Federal Housing Act, the ADA, the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, is an overlay and in many ways superseded. They also can supersede our ordinance determination. That's, I think, when Dan introduced it, he mentioned that that's something that has to be considered here.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, or is there any motions to go into executive session or anything, or?
Are we ready?
I'm fine.
Okay, I will make that motion that we go into executive session to discuss this issue, but potential threat of litigation related to that issue.
Okay, thank you. At this time, we're going to go to executive session. You can stick around. We'll resume our open session at the time. So roll call to go into executive session. Kish? Jen? Jean?
That's it. It's getting ready.
We're making a vote to go into executive session.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Goodell?
Yes.
Chanwell?
Yes.
Reese?
Yes.
Myself, yes. So at this time, we're going to executive session at 6:29. Okay, it's 7:04, we're back in open session. Want to thank everyone for coming. Had a lot of good comments, appreciate that. Also want to thank Representative from our house for being here. We took in consideration all your comments, concerns. A lot of them were good, valid points. Also considered our obligation to by the fair housing guidelines with our thoughts and decision. I think the key is to have open conversations with the residents, with the staff of the, to make sure that they're aware of your concerns, that they don't get out of hand or become, a tipping point where, if you see something wrong, if you see something, you just sound like they're willing to cooperate. I think everyone has the same goal as to, live in cohesion with each other. So just, make sure that, if you see something going on, make sure that you're aware of that. If you feel that's not getting addressed, talk to the village, talk to the police, just make sure that, things go, they're check and balance with everything. So I don't know if there's any motions at this time.
I guess I will make a motion.
Okay.
I will make the motion that this board recommend to the village board for their approval a special use permit for a proposed group home at 2921 Bridle Lane with conditions.
Okay.
And 3 specific recommendation conditions from this board are that it shall be staffed 24/7 when residents are on premises, that the special use permit is not transferable to another owner, and that grounds for revoking of a special use permit are many, and in accordance with the village's SUP permit ordinance. So that's my motion.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Cadell,
Yes.
Reese,
Yes.
Kish,
Yes.
Shanwell,
Yes.
myself say yes. So we're giving a positive recommendation to the board. They make the final decision. They can add their own criteria to that too, but at this time, give a positive recommendation. So
That was for Bridal, we'll still need.
yes.
So I'll make the same motion regarding 3755 Windward Way, regarding a special use permit for a proposed group home with conditions, as stated previously, staffing 24/7, non-transferable, and grounds for revoking special use permit in accordance with village ordinances.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Kish,
Yes.
Cadell,
Yes.
Reese,
Yes.
Shanwell,
Yes.
I still see yes also on that. Okay. So motion passed.
We doing this last one?
What was the last one? Sorry.
You had a shorter one. Oh, or is that superseded? Or did we already do that? Oh, I got an old agenda. It had a table of,
Okay, sorry. Okay.
table of fees.
So Dan will get with you to discuss the next steps. Any old business? Nothing?
No.
Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Adjourn.
Justin?
Yes, sir.